Everyone thinks Tony Soprano ran a butcher shop. He didn't. He ran a washing machine, and every sandwich he bought came out clean. In The Sopranos, every scene is a small sermon about power, money, and the price of pretending one's hands are clean. Take, for instance, the curious case of Tony Soprano at Satriale's pork store. There he stands, the boss of North Jersey, the man who decides who lives and dies, reaching for his wallet to pay for a sandwich at a business he ostensibly owns. To the uninitiated, it's absurd. Why would the owner pay himself for his own lunch? But in the world of Tony Soprano, where perception is law and hypocrisy is the only unforgivable sin, the gesture is nothing short of doctrine. The simple answer is that it looks right. When the boss pays, everyone pays. When the boss doesn't, chaos follows. If Tony were to start tossing free steaks to himself, Silvio, and Polly, soon enough the entire crew would be gorging themselves into financial entropy. The line between loyalty and looting would dissolve faster than Artie Bucco's dignity. In the economy of fear and respect that Tony presides over, order must be performed, even in the deli line. Paying for his sandwich is less about the $12 than about keeping the hierarchy intact. Rules are rules, Tony might snarl, and for once, he'd mean it. Even in a world where the rules are written by gangsters, there's still a perverse respect for structure. Tony understands that power doesn't survive without ceremony. If he doesn't pay, Silvio won't pay. If Silvio doesn't pay, Polly will start grabbing lobster tails like it's the Last Supper. And when the free food starts flying, the books fall apart. Then the accountants, and eventually the feds, come sniffing around. Of course, the financial logic runs deeper than the moral one. Satriale's, after all, isn't really a butcher shop. It's a washing machine for the dirtiest cash in Essex County. Dirty money from one pocket buys a sandwich. Clean money from the register goes into the other. Tony's not just feeding himself. He's feeding the illusion of legitimacy. Each veal parm and calzone becomes a miniature act of purification, a holy sacrament of the American money laundering faith. The mechanics are straightforward. Every sale at Satriale's, real or not, adds to the business's declared income. That means Tony can funnel in thousands of dollars of illicit earnings under the guise of lunch traffic. By paying cash for his own sandwich, Tony is not wasting money. He's baptizing it. What enters the store as blood money leaves it as taxable profit, clean enough to buy a house in North Caldwell or pay Meadows' college tuition. To put it bluntly, the pork store doesn't make sandwiches. It makes receipts. And while the show's writers may not have expected viewers to perform a forensic audit of Tony's eating habits, the realism holds. Anyone who has worked in food service, or any small business worth its salt, knows that owners who don't pay for what they take are asking for disaster. Accounting collapses, inventory becomes guesswork, and soon nobody knows whether the missing salami walked out the front door or went home in the boss's trunk. You never get high on your own supply isn't just drug dealer wisdom. It's a rule of responsible management. Even legitimate business owners know the ritual. One restaurateur described how his own boss, an irritable but principled man, insisted on paying cash for every beer he drank in his own bar. It wasn't about the money. It was about appearances. When the owner is seen to pay, employees understand that freebies aren't the norm. Once the boss starts pouring himself drinks on the house, everyone else feels entitled to do the same. And suddenly, the house is a debtor's prison. The old man was considered a miserable bastard, but even his critics admitted he had the right idea. Better a stingy tyrant than a hypocritical one. Tony, for all his moral corrosion, subscribes to this same brand of ethics. The man who has bodies dismembered in the back room still believes in paying retail out front. To him, hypocrisy, not murder, is the greater sin. After all, least he's not a hypocrite. As Norm Macdonald once quipped, it wasn't the hypocrisy, it was the raping. In Tony's code, integrity is an aesthetic, not a virtue, and his wallet is part of the costume. Then there's the matter of image. Tony Soprano is many things: killer, husband, patient, but above all, He's a man obsessed with appearances. Whether it's his tailored suits or his insistence that everyone shows respect, Tony knows that to rule is to be watched. If the boss starts mooching off his own business, it sends a message that the king has grown soft, that his empire runs on indulgence rather than control. So he performs legitimacy, one deli purchase at a time.
It's also a simple matter of hierarchy. He may own the building, but the day-to-day shop is likely run by some underling or manager. To walk in and demand free food would be to undercut the very people maintaining the facade of legality. Let the staff ring it up. Let the register sing its song of clean commerce, and the machine keeps humming. He pays, they record the sale. The IRS sees a functioning business, and everyone goes home alive. Contrast this with Tony's behavior at Artie Bucco's Nuovo Vesuvio, where his tab runs as deep as his contempt. At Artie's restaurant, Tony eats like a Roman emperor. Endless feasts, unpaid bills, and a weary childhood friend footing the cost. Why? Because Vesuvio isn't a front. It's not a cog in the money laundering machine. There, Tony doesn't need to play the role of legitimate businessman. He's simply exercising dominance, reminding Artie that friendship is a form of servitude. The food at Vesuvio feeds Tony's ego. The food at Satriali's feeds his tax returns. And yet, beneath all this logic lies an unspoken absurdity. The same men who stuff corpses into meat grinders insist on paying full price for pork chops. The mob may murder accountants, but it still fears unbalanced books. The irony is as thick as Satriali's prosciutto. There's also symbolism in the act, intentional or not. As Tony's criminal empire grows, so does his appetite. Literally. His expanding waistline mirrors his expanding need to launder money, one sandwich at a time. By the later seasons, the man is practically eating his own alibi, the sacred and the profane, as one observer put it. The blending of sin and domesticity until even a sandwich becomes a metaphor for guilt. Still, one can't help but admire the business logic. Paying for your own lunch may seem like a small, meaningless act, but in a cash-heavy operation designed to legitimize crime, it's a key piece of the machinery. Every dollar rung through the register is another dollar that can safely reach a bank account, another line of defense against federal scrutiny. It's not generosity, it's accounting. And in Tony's world, accounting is survival. Satriali's is not a business built to profit. It's a theater designed to appear profitable. The customers are props, the pork is scenery, and Tony Soprano is both actor and audience. When he hands over a 20 for his veal parm, he's not just paying for food. He's paying for the illusion that he's a legitimate man. That illusion, as fragile and greasy as the sandwich itself, is the entire point. In the end, Tony pays because the alternative would be chaos, an unbalanced ledger, a disrespected hierarchy, a crack in the performance of control. The man who cannot manage his own lunch cannot manage a criminal empire. So yes, Tony Soprano pays at Satriali's, not because he must, but because every king must occasionally pretend to be a customer. Otherwise, what separates the boss from the beggar? After all, in the grand ledger of the Sopranos, everyone eventually pays. Tony just prefers to do it in cash. Everyone pays eventually. Start with that subscribe button.